Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to Office Hours with Michael Kitces. For today's Office Hours, I want to talk about one of the biggest challenges of doing good financial planning for clients, which is getting the data to do the financial planning in the first place. And the blocking points that can arise when trying to get data from clients are really just getting buy-in from clients in the process. Because the reality is there's no way to do much financial planning for clients if you don't have the data to understand and analyze their financial situation in the first place. Because without the data, there's literally nothing to project. There's nothing to analyze. You can't help them evaluate trade-offs if you don't have any numbers to do the evaluation. Historically, it's been really hard to get clients to fill out those data gathering forms we give them in the first place. At best, it's time consuming for them to fill out all the blanks on the data gathering form. And in many cases, clients are not actually that organized in the first place. They don't even know all the information to put on the data sheet, and then they don't want to go through the data gathering process because they're embarrassed to realize, acknowledge that they don't know about where all their own financial situation is in the first place. And of course, the irony is that by going through the financial planning process, we often help clients to get more organized in their financial lives, effectively solving the disorganization problem, at least as long as the disorganization problem itself doesn't become the blocking point to getting the organized solution. Now, the good news is that this organizational challenge, I find, is starting to change as we truly enter what I call the digital age of financial planning. Because in the digital age of financial planning, we soon won't need clients to fill out those data gathering forms anymore. Not just because we're shifting to an online digital environment where we don't handwrite the information into a data gathering form, because soon we'll type it into an online data gathering tool like PreciseFP. But the real coming change is that as everything in our lives becomes more digital, from investments held in online accounts, mortgages and banking in online accounts, our spending happening through credit and debit cards, and increasingly even cash payments are being handled in cashless apps like Apple Pay and Google Pay. In a world where all that's digital, there won't be any need to enter any financial information ever into a data gathering form for financial planning. What's going to happen in the future instead is we'll simply link our financial accounts directly to the financial planning software, and all the financial information will just be downloaded automatically. In other words, the future of financial planning data gathering isn't about more efficient data gathering software. It's about account aggregation tools that turn a process that can still be hours for some clients, just entering all that financial information, into a process of just minutes instead, because clients won't actually have to enter the data anywhere anymore. They'll just have to link their accounts instead. Now, in point of fact, some financial planning software solutions already have this capability. eMoney Advisor in particular was a pioneer in using account aggregation embedded directly in a financial planning software and helping to expedite the data gathering process directly through account aggregation. And in recent years, other planning software tools have slowly been building similar capabilities. Right Capital's account aggregation capabilities, MoneyGuide Pro integrating with Yodlee. But the challenge is that even as data gathering just mechanically gets easier, as we go from filling out lengthy data gathering forms into simply linking financial accounts, it's still often hard to get data from clients. Because some clients don't actually want to link their accounts and turn over access to that account aggregated information in the first place. And in fact, the unwillingness of a material segment of clients to link their accounts via account aggregation and facilitate all that data gathering and planning process is now one of the most common complaints and challenges I hear from advisors who are trying to adopt all the new technology, very much akin to advisors who struggled in the past to get clients to manually fill out the data gathering forms. Now, for some clients, this is, I think, just a simple general cybersecurity concern. It's an education issue. We need to explain to clients how their data will be used, how their data will not be used. All the planning software companies have clear privacy policies to explain this. We need to educate clients as an advisor. We won't actually be getting access to do anything in their accounts. It's just about getting the information share of their account balances and transactions into our planning software. And this, I think, will actually get a lot easier in the coming years because account aggregation is going through a shift from what historically has been give us your login credentials to your account, we'll go in and we'll scrape the information off the screen, into the next generation of account aggregation, which increasingly is about getting direct data feeds that clients authorize, but without even turning over their login credentials in the first place. But even as we address the cybersecurity issues, I think there's actually a more fundamental issue that's cropping up with clients that won't give data. And it's the reason why data gathering was difficult when it was hours of manual time filling out forms, and it's still often a challenge even as data gathering gets cut down to minutes linking accounts. And the problem is that as financial planners, we're not doing a very good job of showing clients what's in it for them as the client to turn over all this data. So I want you to engage in a little thought experiment with me. Think for a moment about how much you earn from a typical client to do a financial plan. And I'm not just talking about standalone planning fees you may charge, but the entire compensation you earn from the planning relationship. Because that's the real financial planning fee. It includes the commissions you earn from implementation, the AUM fees you get from the rollover at the end of the planning process. Because the reality is that clients can get almost any of the products themselves online now. They can buy an insurance product. They can implement an asset allocated portfolio online. There are plenty of direct-to-consumer insurance and investment providers and online portals to help them. At the end of the day, whatever your compensation happens to be, all rolled together, you're not just getting that compensation for implementing a product for a portfolio, you're getting that compensation for the advice and the plan you deliver. So take all that compensation from all the sources, roll it into one number. For most advisors, that average revenue per client is several $1,000s per year. That is the compensation you're receiving for this financial plan you're preparing, for which you're asking clients to enter data or link accounts. So hold that number in your head for a moment. Now I want you to think about the financial plan itself that you prepare and deliver to the client. So maybe that's a printed plan, maybe it's an electronic PDF, maybe it's in a nice binder, maybe it's done more interactively with the client as an experience in the conference room. So in the aggregate, this is all the compensation you're getting to produce and deliver this plan, often thousands of dollars. This is the financial plan that the client is going to receive. And so the question now is this: not just, is this dollar amount worth this plan that you're offering, but what have you done as the advisor to show the client that it's worth paying these dollars and putting in all that time and trusting you with all that data to get this financial plan deliverable that comes at the end? You know, we're asking clients to pay all this money for what at the end of the day is an intangible service that has just one tangible outcome, the plan. Yet, I find we spend almost no time and effort trying to show clients what they're going to get for their often rather substantial amount of money commitment, cost commitment, time commitment, and trust commitment that they make to the advisor. And the key element that I think is missing here is creating a sample financial plan for prospective and new clients to literally show them what they're going to get. Because ironically, even though most of us, or at least those who tend to follow these office hours videos, are in the business of doing financial planning, delivering financial plans, I'm constantly amazed at how few advisors actually have and show a sample financial plan to clients. Even though I would argue it's the single best way to get buy-in, both financially and in terms of the time and trust commitment to do all that data gathering and account linking with clients. Now, obviously, we can't literally show another client's financial plan because that's a breach of client privacy. And you should be cautious about just taking an existing client's plan and solely changing the names to Jim and Jane Sample. Because if it's a sample plan of one of your executive clients in a particular company, there actually may still be too much identifying information in there that someone else could figure out who it is, and now you've got a privacy problem again. So you can take an existing plan if you want, adapt the client a bit, make them sufficiently different that Jim and Jane Sample are no longer identifiable. But the point is to have a sample plan with a sample client, and ideally one who looks like a real client you work with and you would want to work with. Because ideally, the actual prospective client or new client that you're sitting across from when you give them the sample plan will see themselves in the plan. Will look at it and say, wow, this person's financial plan seems really well organized and worth the money. And wow, my situation is just like theirs. So this plan really is going to help me get more organized too. And now that's a client who wants to give you the data and engage in the process because they see what they're going to get. Which means not only is it important to create a sample financial plan, but it's important to really think about who the sample financial plan is for. What's the income of that sample client? What's the net worth? What's the assets? How old are they? If you mostly work with retirees, your sample plan should be a retiree. If most of your new clients are struggling with the timing of when to start Social Security, your sample plan should include a sample of your Social Security timing analysis. If you primarily work with small business owners, that sample plan should show how you handle small business owner situations. If your ideal client's an executive with stock options, where's the stock option analysis you can show them in your sample financial plan? But beyond who the sample plan is about, the key is that it's crucial for you to have something to show prospective and new clients that they'll actually be able to see and touch and hold on to and scroll or flip through as a sample financial plan. So again, think about this from the client's perspective. What does it look like? Is it a PDF? Is it a printout? Do you just print a stack of white paper and pages and staple it at the top? Does it go into a nice binder? Does the output look mostly like boilerplate from financial planning software? Or does it have your logo and colors? What's the size of the text? Is the font actually readable if you were an older client with weaker eyesight? Do the graphics look professional? Now, I realize that some planning software allows for more customization in this area than others, and I'll admit, even historically, when I looked at our sample financial plan, I didn't love all the pieces of it. We've been trying to improve it over the years. But the fundamental point is that most of us advisors earn thousands of dollars of revenue from each client that we do financial planning with, whether it's the planning fee or implementation commissions or AUM fees later. And for several $1,000s, we have to figure out how to make a sample financial plan, and actually the plan that we deliver at the end, look like it's worth thousands of dollars. Now, I realize that can take a lot of time and effort to produce a nicer looking, a fancier plan, and all for a document that I'm well aware not all clients even read in full or crack the spine of the day after you present it. And I'm not literally advocating to create something that will take you hours and hours of additional work to produce each time. You can do a lot of this by investing the time once to create a good template that looks a little better and a little more polished, and then using and building on that better looking template over time. But the point remains that the prospective client or new client is faced with a real decision at the start of the planning relationship. Is what I'm going to get from this financial planning thing really going to be worth all the dollars it's going to cost me? Is it going to be worth my time to gather all this data and turn it over? And is it really worth trusting all my personal and private financial information to this relative stranger who says he or she is a good financial planner, is going to craft me a financial plan that helps me get my life in order? It's a lot of questions. It's a lot of weighty questions that are really hard for most clients to evaluate, because planning is this intangible service for which we always say, well, trust me in the long run, you'll thank me once you've gone through the process. And the only tangible thing they have to go on is a sample financial plan. And so while I know the holistic value of what we provide is in the advice itself and the planning process we take clients through, value of financial planning is about way more than just literally the plan. Again, the reality is that the plan happens to be the only tangible thing clients have to go on to figure out whether to trust that the rest of the process is worth the cost and the time. So it's perhaps not fair that the value of our whole intangible financial planning process over time might be judged by a single sample financial plan deliverable. But the reality is that it often is. That sample financial plan deliverable really does bear most of the burden in demonstrating to the new client that this will all be worth it at the end. And if you don't even have a sample financial plan, that may be the first indication as to why clients are hard to get buy-in from. So if you're struggling to get data from clients or to get them to link account aggregation, or you're just finding it difficult for clients to pay for financial planning or agree to go through the process in the first place, at the end, what it means is that they're not seeing the value of financial planning. And I know it's hard to describe the value of financial planning. It's something we all collectively struggle with. But the first starting point is simply to think about creating a sample financial plan with the polish and professionalism to show that it's worth the thousands of dollars and hours of time that the client will invest in the process to get their trust and buy-in to go through the process with you. And if you don't have a sample financial plan, or it maybe doesn't convey the professionalism that it should when you look at this thing you hand out and say, this will cost you thousands of dollars and hours of time, maybe it's time to sit down and work on that, and that's your homework. Because the truth is, it's not enough just to be worth it as a financial planner. If you want to get clients, you have to show them it's worth their time and investment in both the dollars, the hours they're going to take, and the trust they're going to give you to hand over their financial data. And we have to justify that by showing them what they're going to get. So I hope that's helpful. It's some food for thought. This is Office Hours with Michael Kitces. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and have a great day.